All right, and ready, go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 21st installment of the Dynasty Wall Street podcast. I am your host, Kevin Cotillo. I have Riley Bymaster with me. What's going on, Riley?
Oh, not much. Just hating on Nick Chubb.
You got a lot of
pissing people off.
A lot of Twitter followers out there that are strictly following you just so they can hate you.
I'll take them however I can get them.
That's it. John Bosch also here with us.
He used to have Twitter followers.
He did lose some, but I'm sure the hatred people outweigh the people that left you.
They like to troll. I'm okay with that.
John Bosch, do you like Nick Chubb?
I do like Nick Chubb. So
see, that's the thing. I don't hate him.
You don't dislike him. You just like him less than everybody else.
Yes, that's correct.
I understand that. That's how I am with Jarvis Landry. People tell me I'm like, I will never have him. I have no interest. And people are like, oh, you hate Landry. And I'm like, no, I'm just not paying what everybody else is paying for him. So I will never have him. So I totally understand what's going on for you, Riley.
That was Sammy Watkins for me, although it seems as though the community
You're dead wrong.
is dripping back towards my way a little bit here. So that's good. Although
You're still wrong. Still wrong.
I'm not wrong. I promise you.
You're wrong.
We are Dynasty Wall Street. We are going to go through tonight. We're going to get 3 players at you. We're going to compare them to other players, and we're going to use the Dynasty Trade Calculator, which you can find at dynastytradecalculator.com to weigh their values. We're going to use half-point PPR Superflex scoring for the values to give some weight to the quarterbacks. We're going to talk about a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver tonight. I promise you it is not going to be Riley's terrible takes on Nick Chubb. He will have a different running back to talk about tonight. So stay tuned and we will get rolling. If we have any variation on the calculator, we'll make sure to point that out as we go along. I'm going to kick things off tonight with a quarterback, and I know Riley's going to be excited to talk about this quarterback because it is someone that he loves. All right, before we get started tonight, we are going to talk about something else that is very important. T-shirts. We need to know if people are interested in getting T-shirts. We are working on getting them produced. They're awesome. They look great. Bosch, you have the design. It looks awesome.
I do. It's the nice Wall Street sign out of our logo. It's going to be on a nice soft black T-shirt. They're super comfortable shirts. I mean, they're the softest you're going to get out there. If anybody has a game night shirt, you're already going to know what the texture is. So it's that super soft material. $20 and you're not going to be able to beat that price. Like that's $20 for a fantasy football shirt. It's a great way to help support us. We appreciate all the interaction that we get on Twitter. We love the reviews that we get. We'd also like to sell some shirts. So we would appreciate that as well. If you're interested in buying a shirt and supporting the show, this is a great way to do it. It's only $20. You know, it's not super expensive, I don't think, compared to the t-shirt market out there. And you're going to get a nice Dynasty Wall Street shirt.
Look, Riley is a poor college student. He needs all the help he can get. Please buy a T-shirt and support Riley. They are awesome shirts. I can tell you right now, they're the same quality as the Dynasty game night shirt that I think I might be wearing right now. Actually, this is the Scott Fishbowl shirt, but also good quality. If you like Dynasty T-shirts in any way, shape, or form, make sure you hit us up on Twitter at Kevin Cotillo, at John Bosch FF, at DTC_Riley B. or at Dynasty Wall Street. That's ST for street there. Hit us up on those, and you can let us know whether or not you're going to you're interested in a T-shirt. We'll tweet out a picture of the shirt and all of our contact information. Again, $20. Let us know so we can get those orders rolling. All right, the quarterback I am bringing tonight, Riley will be excited to hear about because I know it's a guy that he was sort of high on coming into the season, at least from a dynasty perspective, even though he has yet to play a down in the NFL, at least as a starting quarterback. We'll call it that way. He has played down. Yeah. He has played downs in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's the guy I want to talk about tonight because I don't know that he's actually he's lined up under, behind center. I don't know that he's lined up under center. He is lined up behind center. He has taken snaps. I don't know that he's thrown the ball, Riley. Maybe you can tell me that.
Not during the regular season, no.
I have not seen him throw the ball yet. So Lamar Jackson comes in on the calculator, obviously as a rookie who hasn't really played much, as a 14.4 value, which to me seems incredibly low for a quarterback in a super flex league, especially a young quarterback that's as dynamic as a guy as Lamar Jackson. When you're talking about pick value, as we typically will do, that is the 2019 107. I don't think I even have to ask you guys, but since we always do, I'm going to ask you, and Riley, we'll start with you. Is there any chance you don't give up the 107 to get Lamar Jackson?
No, I'm giving it up every time.
Bosch, what about you?
Yeah, super flex, I'd pay even more than that. I mean, super flex, I'd go up to the high 10s. You know, I'm talking like 102, 103. I might not get 101 just because that control of the 101 I think is way more valuable. But honestly, I think big things are coming. And as soon as he comes on the field, he's not going to be 14.4. That value is going to go up as soon as we see him take over the job, which I actually don't think it's going to happen this year. I'm still a little doubting that unless Flacco truly is injured and out, which if he is, go get Lamar Jackson right now. Baltimore has an awesome end of year schedule. So he's going to look good at the end of the year too. Not only is he going to take over the job, he's probably going to look good in it. And you're never going to be able to get him for a 107 after the end of this season.
Yeah, one of the reasons I bring him up is because he may get the start this week. There is talk maybe they go with Robert Griffin for some reason. He may get the start if Flacco is out. But it's an interesting case right now because of that. And I think that I'm with you guys completely. 107 is a joke for me. I'd pay way more than that. I may even pay the 101. And Riley, I want to ask you really quickly, this upcoming class, since you're our college guru here, Justin Herbert is really the only guy that I can think of that might push someone for a Lamar Jackson. Is there anyone else coming out this year that you'd consider taking at that 101 instead of trading it for Lamar Jackson?
Now, as of now, no. Herbert's he's the guy, but that's still not saying much because he's still very raw. He's got a lot of things to work on. He's not a step in day one and contribute nicely kind of guy. Other than that, right now, there's really nobody that gets me excited. Dwayne Haskins isn't coming out. Jarrett Stidham disappointed me to world's end. He's been horrible. There's really nobody. Daniel Jones out of Duke is the only one who may increase his stock toward the combine.
Seems to be creeping up boards right now.
He is, just because he hasn't played horribly like everybody else has. It's not what he's done, it's what the others haven't done. So even if that's the case, it's pretty disappointing. But I mean, right now Lamar is QB1 in this class 100 times out of 100.
So would you give up the 101 for him?
Theoretically, yes, but it's the 101.
So you're buying into Bosch, what Bosch is selling about that control of the draft then?
I think the name value of the 101 carries more weight.
I think I can use the 101 to get him in the offseason if I really want to. Like when it's determined it's the 101, I think I can get him for that. So I don't think I need to spend that right now if I'm trending towards the 101. Maybe. And if for some reason something happens between now and then, I think I could use that 101 to get something more. You're right. I mean, he could come in and that 101 all of a sudden would be shot. I mean, I give the 101 in a heartbeat right now for the other rookie quarterbacks that we've seen have some success already. So, I mean, you're right. I see what you're saying.
It's funny you mentioned that because the players, obviously, I'm going to compare him to are going to be. We're going to start off with all the other rookie quarterbacks because they're not really in his same value with the exception of one, but they are a comp for him.
Darnold, tell me it's not Darnold, is it?
It's not. Darnold hasn't gone down that far. We're going to start with Josh Rosen. Rosen comes in at a 27.5. Now remember, Lamar Jackson was 14.4. Rosen at a 27.5. Darnold
crazy.
at a 20.3. Josh Allen is the one that has dipped all the way down to be in that area with Lamar Jackson at a 13.6. And Baker Mayfield all the way up at a 32.1 at this point.
Wow.
Yes, it is an incredible volume for him right now. I did not think he was going to be that high when I clicked on him. When I saw Rosen at 27.5, given the way he's played, I was a little surprised, to be quite honest. And then
super
to see,
flex.
but then to see Mayfield at 32.1, just incredible, the amount of the rise there. So that's why I say, Bosch, you might be right with the 101, but if Jackson comes in and plays well and doesn't give that job back,
he's jumping in the mid-20s on that first game if he excels. You're right. All right, so I can argue.
There's the list. We talked about it preseason with all these guys, and Bosch, we'll start with you before we get to Riley here. How do you rank these guys, and who do you want, and where would you go?
Yeah, I mean, I think the calculators got it right. Baker is clearly the most valuable right now. People love him. My strategy, if I had Baker, would be to flip him if I could for Rosen plus, because I still like Rosen a ton. Like, Rosen is my favorite quarterback in this class. I just like what he brings to the team, and I do like the weapons he's going to get to grow with. He still has David Johnson, and I like Christian Kirk a lot. And I even like Ricky Seals-Jones at tight end. So, like, I like the weapons that he has. Not that Cleveland doesn't have it. You know, they have the elite running back, Nick Chubb, that we've discussed. There's still a part of me that will always doubt Cleveland until Cleveland gets it right. Darnold does have me a little bit more concerned with his performance, but look, he got thrown into it with their terrible team. I mean, he does not have weapons. So I'm actually going to start looking to buy him, because I think people are going to be getting a little bit down further on him. And I think Lamar Jackson slides right in there, even with Darnold, for me. So when you mentioned the quarterback was close in range, I was like, God, tell me Darnold has not fallen that far. I think Josh Allen does belong way further below. I don't, of the organizations that are terrible, Buffalo probably tops the list. So I have no faith in him at all. So yeah, I think the calculators got it right.
Yeah, I would. Obviously, Baker's one. Rosen is an easy two. The last three, they kind of get me, because obviously I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. Josh Allen grew on me. I liked what I saw, and I liked what I didn't at the same time. He drastically improved footwork, timing on his routes. Even when he started, the first 6 games this year before he got hurt, so much better than it was his last 6 games at Wyoming. It's just phenomenal how quickly that turned over for him. I think he can pull it together. I want to put him 3, but I do like Lamar. So I think Lamar and I think all 3 of those guys are pretty much equal. But if I had to take them, I would go Lamar and then Darnold, because I know I can get Josh Allen plus for Darnold. I put Darnold 4, but I like Josh Allen more than Darnold.
You're really moving to Allen over Darnold? Wow.
I wasn't a Darnold guy ever.
I know you weren't. I know.
Decision making, and I think that's been obvious the last month.
Sure. He's like 21 years old, right?
John's right. That's a terrible team. He's getting crushed. He's getting stacked.
It is true.
He's not even hurt.
My concern for him, for Darnold, literally, is that like his career ends before he actually even gets to develop. So I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope they continue to give him that development time. If they don't, like if for some reason the Jets do, let's say they have a terrible year next year and just move on,
so to speak.
Like exactly. Like that'd be awful.
I don't think
a total waste.
They won't do that. I just think his ceiling as an NFL quarterback will be 25 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Maybe
so Jameis
close.
Winston.
Maybe Jameis is a very good comp for him.
Yeah.
But you like Jameis Winston. We talked about this on the last episode, how much you like the skill set there.
Jameis in 2018. I think Jameis got a bad rap this year. Didn't get to play the first 4 games. Just kind of thrown in.
Career so far, he's been a high interception, moderate touchdown guy.
He is, but that's because he trusts his arm more. Darnold just makes stupid decisions. And not saying Jameis hasn't made stupid decisions, because we know Mr. Crablegs has really got it wrong sometimes, but it's more so because Jameis trusts his arm.
All right, well let's continue on. Oh, for me, I think I'm with you guys as far as Mayfield's number one for me now. He's actually moved ahead of Rosen. I like what I've seen. I love Josh Rosen too. I think the skill set's great, but Mayfield's just so much. So he's just, you hear even players on his own team and on other teams talk about that it factor, and when you start to hear that over and over again, you have to believe that the guys that he's playing with are buying in. And to me, if an NFL player buys in, then I'm on board too. You don't hear it quite as much with Rosen. I still think he has the tool set, and that team will get better once they get rid of Steve Wilkes. So I think that if Byron Leftwich is the coach in 2 years, you might see a different Arizona Cardinals. And I do like Christian Kirk, so I'll put Rosen second at a close second for me. He's a little closer than I think the calculator has him. And man, Riley, I'm with you. The 3 through 5, I could go any way. I probably take Darnold first out of the 3, just because I think that interestingly enough, I think that the Jets will turn it around. I do think that the general manager is decent. I think that they're on a path to having a good defense, and if they can resolve some of the offensive line issues and maybe bring in a talented receiver that's not a cast off from somewhere else, they might have a chance and give him some weapons that he might be better. I mean, he does make bad decisions, but he's running for his life right now. So I'd like to see him with a clean pocket at least once this season. Josh Allen, man, Josh Allen's a guy that I'm with you, Riley. I think that he improved quite a bit. I just have no faith in Buffalo, so I'd probably put Tyrod ahead of him at this point. And the value in the market for Josh Allen's terrible, because everyone had that bias coming into the season of how bad he was, because it was trendy to knock him, and that's kind of carried through now that he hasn't really overproduced. Even though I think he had some good traits and some good games, I don't think he's done enough to get rid of all the naysayers, and so that keeps his value low, because you really only have a few people within your leagues to trade with him. So Lamar Jackson probably goes ahead of him a little bit. And so that's it. My order. Let's talk about a couple of the players that are established veterans that have values in the same area. Jameis Winston, who we just talked about, is a guy that comes in at 15.3. Obviously been benched for the season. We're not 100% certain why. I think for me, I lean more towards the theory that it's injury based. They want to keep him healthy so they don't have to guarantee the contract. But that's my own personal theory. Andy Dalton is a guy that we've talked about several times on this podcast, 14.4, and Blake Bortles as a 13.0. Before we get to you, Riley, I'll just say I'll take Lamar Jackson over all these guys in a heartbeat.
Who was the first one? I had Dalton and Bortles. Who was the
Winston?
Other one?
Jameis Winston.
Sorry, I missed that.
15.3. That's all right.
So
Riley, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean this aligns pretty easily in my head for me. I'm still taking Jameis. Again, I think he got a bad rap this year. Just a lot of weird coincidences. Granted,
are you taking him to be on a new team next year?
I don't care. I hope he stays with Tampa, but I mean, he's got the talent to start in the NFL. 100%. Like, not even a question.
Someone mentioned New York Giants as a possible destination. That would be phenomenal.
I think I'd die if that happens. Can you imagine Jameis and OBJ, Sterling Shepard, that guy Saquon, and then Evan Ingram? Yeah. And don't forget Cody Latimer too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Kidding.
Obviously.
He was one of my dudes. So yeah, Jameis 1, Lamar Jackson at 2. I don't care. Bortles maybe at 3 because he's younger, but Dalton's really fallen off. He's looked not good at times. Other times, AJ Green bailed him out. So I think I'll take Bortles. I don't feel good about it, but I will.
That's ugly. Bosh.
So I'm a little torn here. I like the outlook of Lamar Jackson, but this particular tier of quarterback, this is who you want your QB2 to be in Superflex, which is obviously what we're talking if we're talking about these guys. Which makes me want to put Dalton. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess the question then becomes, do you think Lamar Jackson's floor is a QB2? Because I do. I think his floor, once he gets a starting job, will be these guys.
Oh, for
and
sure.
he has the ability to be
yeah.
a
Rushing
QB1,
alone,
right?
Yeah,
So wouldn't you take?
I think you're dead right on that. That's a perfect analysis of it. But right now he's not there. Right now he doesn't have that job. So I mean, I know we try not to take the cop out of team dependent, but I don't see how you can add Lamar Jackson for one of these guys right now if you're competing. If you're competing, how could you trade Andy Dalton for Lamar Jackson right now? As we record this, we don't know if he's starting or not this weekend. If he does come in as the starter, then I think it's probably the time to make that switch if you can. That's a fantastic way to go. I think he's definitely got a higher ceiling going forward over Bortles. Winston has made me a little nervous, but I think Tampa Bay goes back to him this year. He's either going to win the job back in Tampa Bay, or he's going to be showcased, and he will be somewhere else next year. So Dalton is like the super safe guy as your QB2 off of this list right now. But if we are trying to predict who we want to have on our team, man, this is tough. I think I'll go Lamar over all of them because of that potential upside. I think Winston actually has that same upside. Believe it or not, I know he's benched right now for Ryan Fitzpatrick, but that whole Tampa situation, it's ridiculous. Like,
the only reason that he's benched is because Dirk Cutter is trying to keep his job.
Exactly. So Jameis should be in there. There is no reason he's not playing.
I do think the injury thing plays a part of that, right? Because they're not sure if they want to continue with Jameis.
So if we're looking for like our futures, I think, like Kevin said, Lamar Jackson, his floor is these guys. And if his floor is these guys, his ceiling's above them. So I'm going to take him above all of them. I think I'd put Winston second on this list for future evaluation. Dalton is third because he is so much safer than Bortles. I have been a huge Bortles believer while Kevin is a Bortlist. Bortles is my QB2 on a lot of teams. He's not going to get benched, I don't think, too frequently. But I mean, next year, I don't really know what his future is. This year, I felt like I knew what it was going into this year. So he's definitely bottom of the list because eventually it's going to catch up to him. Until it does, I'm going to continue to put him as my quarterback too, as long as he's on the field. But yeah, Lamar Jackson at the top, I think. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad that you said it first, because if I had ranked Bortles fourth again, people would continue to call me an anti-Bortite, and I just can't handle that. But
I mean, I like Bortles too, because he's always cheap. He's a great quarterback too, because he's so inexpensive.
He won't have a job in 2 years, though. He can't possibly.
But who cares about 2 years? Will he be on your roster in 2 years? People think, oh, this quarterback's on my roster for 10 years.
I don't think 10 years, but I'd like to get 3. Right? I'd like
to get 1 or 2 and then trade him for somebody else that I can get 1 or 2 of. Out of my quarterback 2. I don't want him anchoring my team, but I've started to treat my quarterback 2 as basically like a streamer every year. Give me Case Keenum for a year right here. Give me Bortles for a year. Hell, next year it might be give me Derek Carr for a year. I mean, it's getting ugly there. So my quarterback 2, I look for that streamer level value, to be honest, because of the investment cost.
I don't know. Blake Bortles, I think they're kind of locked into him this year, and
I think he's got
maybe
next year
from a contract standpoint. So maybe you get 2 years out of him. I don't think when this contract's done that he has any chance of getting a job. In any case, he'll
be a backup.
He's last on this list for me. It's definitely Lamar Jackson. It's definitely Jameis Winston for a huge tier break above Dalton, and then another tier break to Bortles for me. So that's about it.
Bortles will be the next Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like, he'll be a backup somewhere, and when the starter has a bad game, he'll come in and just degaff to a great second half, and then get like a starter 2, and then everybody will realize, okay, yeah, maybe he's a great backup.
Yeah, that is true. All right, let's move along to running back. Riley, who do you got?
I don't even know how to intro this. So Dalvin Cook comes in on the calculator at a 27.7. Got to be down from when he was actually the running back we talked about on our very first episode.
I was going to say, we've touched on Dalvin before.
So he's had a little change in that he's only played 4 games since we last talked about him.
Feels like forever ago.
Last year. So that is equivalent to, in the calculator, an early 19 first and a 19 second. And that package comes in at a 25. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. You taking an early 19 first and a 19 second, or Dalvin Cook?
An early 19 first. So you said the total value is 25?
Correct.
Man, I'd like to know where that first is. And you know what the great thing about the trade calculator is? You can do that.
Well, I did not. I was a little late this week.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna look it up right now because I'm kind of curious.
Let's say 104. What's the 104 come in at?
The 104 comes in at a 20.3. So if you did that, and so let's say you had the 104 and the 204, that's right around a package of 25. So 204 is 4.5, the 104 is 20.3. So you're talking the 104-204 combo, right? I think I might take the package. And it hurts me to say it a little bit because Dalvin's great, and the only reason I wouldn't take that package of picks is because I think you'll probably squeeze more out of someone. I think you can get a little bit better. You might be able to get an extra second thrown on top, or maybe you could even get into 2 firsts if you're looking at a team that's really trying to pay up. So I think I probably hold out for 2 firsts, but if I've shopped around and I can't get anything and I really want to move Dalvin, which if I'm the owner, I probably do, I might take the first and the second, 204 or 104 and 204, because I just don't trust Dalvin to stay healthy. I don't trust him from a game standpoint. He's very up and down. I don't know that he's ever going to be consistent. And guys like that make me so nervous to have on my roster long term. So at this point, I might wait till the end of the season and hope that he has strings a few good games together and then max out as much as I can.
All right. So does anybody remember my response on Dalvin Cook in that first episode?
Long ago. It was almost a year ago, Bosch.
Probably sell him.
I think it went something like, how in the world has his value gone up after he tore his ACL?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's like almost a direct quote. And at that point, I mean, I found his value to be absurd then. Now it's come down. This is where it should have been then. And that's why I was so literally I was annoyed that people were thinking his value was so high then. I'm buying at this price. I am definitely buying at a 104, 204. Are you kidding me? I will take that any day because I really do think somebody will give me an early first and probably a late first, or an early first in a 2020 first. He's not a guy that I really want on my teams, but just price-wise, this is a really good time to buy him. It's the market finally corrected to what has been a season of injuries, a season of non-production. But when he does come out, he flashes. And those are the things that everybody holds on to. And that's what insulates a running back's value. He comes out, he has a nice run for a touchdown, and everybody's like, oh, remember that Amir Abdullah preseason touchdown that everybody hung on to forever? That's what happens with running backs. Like, it takes one highlight for that value to spike and be able to trade them. So I'm buying at this, and I'm definitely selling when I get an offer of 2 firsts for him, especially if it's like the 104 and the 110. Yeah, I'm out. I'll sell him for that. But I would give the 104 and 204. I think that's
the 104 and 204.
But no, God no. I think you're right to hold out for 2 firsts. There's a big difference to me between a first and a second. And I know that's only 6 picks with what I just said, the 110 and the 204. But
it's a mentality
if you look back,
thing.
if you start looking back at these draft classes, it starts to get thin real fast. And as we look forward to 2019, might be a little thinner than some of the other years that we've looked at. You know, every once in a while, there seems to be like just a gap that kind of hits because guys that leave early end up making another class big. And then a couple of people stay late, but they stay, in school. And so all of a sudden there's a draft class every once in a while where there's just a lack of talent that hits. And I think 2019 looks like it's shaping up to be that way. So actually, maybe the 104 and 110 wouldn't even be enough, to tell you the truth. It might have to be like the 104 and like the 107 or 8.
Yeah, 2019 is going to get thin at about 110, 111.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to really start to feel like I might as well trade down to 204 and get an extra 210 or 211.
Hey, Riley, sorry, before you move on from that point, coming into the 2000, at this point in 2017, when did you think the 2018 class would get thin?
102.
Wait,
no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait, Anthony Miller was 102, so 103.
Right.
No,
so
for me, it was 109, 110 because I didn't like any of the running backs. I wasn't going to buy Ronald Jones, Nick Chubb, which now that looks fine for people, but I wasn't on Royce Freeman, Carry On. None of those guys I didn't like as mid to late first.
So, but basically, my point being, it's basically the same as you're saying right now, right?
Yeah, it could definitely come on. And once we hit the underwear Olympics and people start falling in love with broad jumps and 3 cones, sure.
Don't you have a podcast named 3 Cone?
That's a long time ago.
Take a deep dive. And
all right, where's your list here, Riley? What would you do with the picks?
Oh, I'm buying at this price. Dalvin was my 101 in 2017. I mean, I think he was a lot of people's 101s. He was on the field the most talented player when he can stay healthy. But that's been the obvious issue. So, I mean, if he can somehow stay on the field and not become the next David Wilson, which if you remember that name,
yeah,
I was all on David Wilson.
I don't even have Dalvin Cook, and I don't want that to happen.
That hurts.
I know.
That just hurts.
David couldn't stay in the field. I hope Dalvin figures it out, but absolutely I'm buying for an early first and second. So as for the players, I think these are going to be pretty interesting because I know some of us like some of these players. James Conner comes in at a 33 on the calculator, which has got to be the biggest increase that the calculator's seen in a long time. Leonard Fournette comes in at a 28.0. Sony Michel is at a 19.8. And Kerryon Johnson at a 22.5. So they're a little more spread out than I thought they would be. But I think this list could go in a variety of ways.
This is the right tier of running backs to discuss him in. He's not being discussed in the Kareem Hunt tier anymore. Thank you very much.
Not a chance.
That's where he was a year ago when we discussed him. Or whatever.
I know. I said I'd take Cook over Kareem.
Bad decision.
But luckily, I didn't have to actually make that decision. So,
all right. So we have Leonard Fournette, Sony, and Kerryon.
And James Conner.
Oh, James Conner too. Okay, well, Conner's one. I don't even think he's in the. I'm going to take him out of
threw him in there just because.
Wow, I'm going to take down. He's the one.
Yeah, I'm taking him out of the discussion. He's the easy one. I don't even think he's in this tier, to be honest. James Conner, his value right now is ridiculous, and I actually don't know if it's even enough. I would probably still pay. Now that we know Bell is out of the picture and James Conner is the back in Pittsburgh, I want that. Like, I wish I had more of him. So yeah, for me, he's the one, hands down, not even close. Let's see, the number 2. You know who I want to say, right, Kevin? Yeah, I really
on my list.
Yeah, I still want to put Sony there. I can't get over it. I like Sony a lot. I wish he would not have been injured at all this year because I think his production and value would be through the roof right now. I have injury concerns with Sony, Leonard Fournette, and Dalvin Cook. Kerryon's the only one that I don't really have super high injury concerns about right now, but I have Detroit running back concerns with Kerryon Johnson. It's not a position they seem to focus on. And then they get close to the goal line and they bring in LeGarrette Blount, and I want to throw things at the television. I'm still going to put Kerryon number 2. I'm going to put him number 2 because of my, I can have, for some reason, I can ignore the injuries on Sony because I think his upside is just so much higher. And then I'm going to put Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook. They're two guys that they are really exactly the same. If they're on the field, I love them both, but they're so rarely on the field that I just don't like either of them. If I had to choose between the two, I'm going to take Dalvin Cook because of youth and because of the offense that he's in. That's going to be the tiebreaker. So my list is going to go James Conner, like 8 tiers above them. And then Sony, carry on, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette. I hate Leonard Fournette. I am so out on him. I don't have him anywhere, thankfully. I have no interest in acquiring. What about you, Kevin?
I think I'm sadly, for the most part, in agreement. So I have a couple of tiers, right? I'm not as high on Connor as you. I certainly don't think he's 8 tiers ahead of these guys. I'm still
8 tiers may have been hyperbole.
Look, I like James Conner. I think that he played great.
I don't know that there are actually 8 tiers above these guys as it is.
Probably not. I mean, Gurley might be 8 tiers above these guys, but that's about
Gurley
it.
and Saquon are tiers of their own, like in a different stratosphere. They don't even get measured by tiers. There's a different measurement for them.
Look, I like Connor. I think that he's been great this season, and I think that he's shown that he can obviously carry the load and he can be a very productive back when they use him properly. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a very small sliver of a chance that Le'Veon Bell is
zero chance
playing.
There's no chance.
Pittsburgh next year.
No chance at all.
There is a very small sliver of a chance, and that really hurts James Conner's value.
25 million, Kevin. There's no chance.
So from what I understand, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there a transition tag possibility where so I think their way out of the third level of the franchise tag is to transition tag him, in which case he gets somewhere around the 10 to 11 million range. I believe they have that option still. And if that's
an option, then that's a good option.
If they pull the trigger on that, I have to do a little more research on the whole mechanics of it. And I don't know if either of you guys know, but I believe they might still have the transition tag option, in which case it'd be a far lesser salary. And I could see them doing that, if for nothing else than to stick it to the guy and be like, screw you, you're not going anywhere. Because they don't want
to keep him away from Baltimore, Indianapolis.
That's what I mean. They don't want to play him for anyone else. So at the very least, it does that. That brings Connor's value. That's the only thing that brings his value.
That's like a 0.1% chance that happens.
It's a bigger chance than that. And to me, it's worth knocking him down a little. I still think he's first on this list. I just think it's a lot closer. I put Sony second because I love the talent. I think he will figure it out. I think that he will be healthier. And I think that I think we said at the beginning of this year when we've talked about him, when throughout the year, I don't think this was the year for Sony anyway. I think what he's shown has been good. I think for me, I expected year 2 for him to really start to take off, and I still expect that from him. Kerryon Johnson and Dalvin Cook are kind of in that same tier for me, for the next tier for me. They're 3A, 3B. You could probably rank them either way. I'd be happy with either in their perspective, whatever. They're about the same value for me. Maybe Dalvin gets a slight edge because he was more talented coming out, but Kerryon Johnson's been very productive when on the field this year for Detroit as well. So, and that's a team with a really good offensive line actually. Once they get rid of LeGarrette Blount, which I can't imagine he's going to play that much longer, he will get goal line touches as well, and his value will increase. And Leonard Fournette, I'm in agreement. He's an easy last place for me. Don't want the injuries. Love the talent. Don't think he'll ever be a consistent performer on the field.
Hey, for Fournette to be the piece on your fantasy roster, he has to be getting a huge volume. And every time as soon as he gets that huge volume, there's a hamstring pull. It just doesn't. He's not the guy he's not Alvin Kamara who can survive and remain healthy on a smaller volume. He needs the volume to produce. But that same volume, it seems to be as soon as it happens, all right, he's out of your lineup now for 2 weeks.
You know who the last guy like that was?
Derrick Henry. Oh, geez.
I'm not saying Leonard Fournette's Derrick Henry. They're different players. Derrick Henry's a freaking robot that can't move, but he's a
dump truck. We prefer dump truck.
A dump truck, sure. But Fournette's just I literally own him on not a single roster. Not one single roster do I have Leonard Fournette, and I probably never will. Riley, go ahead.
Yeah, so my list,
everything Bosch and I just said, I could tell.
I mean, no, I don't hate it. Mine's a little different. I have obviously Connor at 1. I have Dalvin at 2 just because I think he's
wait, stop. Before you go to you have Connor at 1.
Connor
you
at 1.
Fall somewhere in between where John and I have him, or are you
He's not 8 tiers above it, but it's not super close for me.
Okay.
I mean, I think
where would you rank him in the running back, like David Johnson, Connor or David Johnson? How high up are you going? Connor's not the running back, but now I'm curious.
I'd rather have DJ. I'd rather have CMC, who I was a little wrong on.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Nice of you to admit that finally.
I think I'd take CMC. I don't think I'd take DJ over him.
If I put that on Twitter, people would say, "Oh, you hated CMC." No, I just didn't love him and love his situation, but.
You were very clear that you liked the player, not the situation. You didn't think he was going to get the volume. I think that
yes, but he's still somehow getting the volume, and yeah. I think it helped that Greg Olsen was hurt because he's literally playing on a broken foot. And I don't like the receivers. I think Funchess is soft, and I don't think DJ Moore's the number 1. But I mean, they've made it work somehow. So props to CMC and both of you guys.
What about Connor Bell? Connor Bell going straight up future.
Connor, just because he's safer. I don't know with Bell. Like we've got.
That's close for me. That's real close.
It's not even close for me.
You gotta take Connor.
It's Connor easy. Like if I could flip,
easy though. It's not easy.
It's easy.
Like you said, it is a small chance that he plays in Pittsburgh. But if Bell goes somewhere else, the guy's going to get. He's not going to get the contract he thinks he's going to get, but he's going to get a contract and going to be a focal point of an offense again.
And you know what's going to suck?
I think there's a chance that he never plays. I honestly think there's a chance he never plays again, Kevin.
I don't see that chance.
If he passed it up this year, why would he, what if he only gets an offer of guaranteed $25 million or $40 million? Like what's his threshold?
He's got to take it.
He's going to take the most he can get.
What if it's 25? What if he only gets offered a guarantee of $25 million?
I don't think you sit out twice. I don't think he's retiring, right? I don't think that's possible. I don't see that happening. With the amount of money that he's made so far, I don't see him being willing to not play ever again.
He's made enough that he doesn't ever have to play again.
And he's a rapper now.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I think there's a higher likelihood that we never see him on the field again than we see him on the field again in Pittsburgh as a home team.
He has earned, I'm looking at his earnings so far.
It's going to be enough to live on. I promise you.
It's probably going to be more than I have in my bank account.
Just slightly.
Maybe just a little. He earned $12 million in 2017.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Up until that point, he was under $1 million each year. But so I mean, he's fine. Obviously, he's fine. But I don't think he's going to give up $25 million to make a point.
I didn't think he would sit out the whole year just to make a point. But he did.
I think he screwed this up. I think he thought that it was going to be different for him, and it just didn't.
I don't think he did. I think his agent screwed it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think when it comes to Le'Veon Bell this year, I think that what he should have done was sit out training camp, maybe a game,
and then show up,
come in, take his money, buy an insurance policy for the next contract, and call it a day. And by the time he got to this point, I wouldn't play for $5 million at this point either, because now he's looking at $25 million next year. Right?
I agree. He could still. You're the insurance man. He could still go buy that insurance policy, and he could have shown up now, and he didn't.
Yeah.
All the things that he could have done at the beginning of the year, he could have done before week 10 also, and he never did.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. All right. Anyway, sorry. Go on, Riley. Connor on.
No, number 3.
So I had Connor 1, Dalvin Cook 2, Sony Michel 3.
Yes.
And then I put Fournette above Carrion just because the freaking Detroit running backs drive me. No, don't hate Carrion. But I hate how Detroit uses him or doesn't use him. Drives me insane. Blunt's going to get goal line, and Theo's going to get third downs. Carry-on's going to get 2nd and 7. That's it. And it sucks. But I don't know. Maybe they figured out, and hopefully they use him because he's damn good. I mean, looks a lot like DeMarco Murray did when he was with the Cowboys early on in his career. So I don't know. It's a weird tier. I don't love any of these guys except for Connor. Like, I don't feel good about it. I mean, Sony is great. I just hope he can stay healthy. Same with Dalvin and Fournette. I'm not gonna have Fournette anywhere. So yeah, I think that's gonna finally do it with running back. So much for our quick show, by the way.
Right. All right, Bosh, you're up for wide receivers.
Wide receiver. This is the wide receiver that we from our Twitter handle recently in 2 different polls, which showed 2 different results. Allen Robinson comes in on the calculator at a 22. The 101 in 2019 is 22.5. The 102 is 21.5. So he's right in the middle of that range. So the 101, 102. We're just going to start with either of those. What would you give for Allen Robinson? Would you give either, Riley?
No, I would not. I'd give the 104.
Okay. Kevin, what about you?
Not a chance. 101, 102. I'm probably more in the 104, maybe. If I'm a win now team like this year and want and lost a wide receiver or something and need someone for my lineup, maybe. Because he's still young enough that he can help me going forward and might be able to help me in a championship run as well. But more likely, I'm probably in the 106, 107 range.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you, Kevin. I actually might even be a little bit lower. I am not an Allen Robinson fan. I think people are still giving a value based off of production from years ago. And then I think he also gets this bump because he's in the next Rams offense, which is, the idea of Chicago. That's what everybody wants. All of a sudden, Chicago is going to be the Rams. Maybe that happens with Trubisky. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Goff is way, way better, obviously. I'm just saying
Yes.
there are plenty that believe that, Riley. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he gets an extra bump from that. Give me the 101 or 102 in a heartbeat for Allen Robinson. So we're all in accordance with that. Let's get into some players quickly. So I'm going to give you their ages too as we go through these. So Allen Robinson, currently 25. We've got T.Y. Hilton, also a 22 on the calculator at 28 years old. Jarvis Landry, 22.3 at 25 years old. Amari Cooper, 22.4 at 24 years old. Kevin, we'll start with you on this one. How are you ranking these 4 receivers? Robinson, Hilton, Landry, and Amari.
God, these all hurt me. These all hurt me a lot because I'm not a Landry fan, but I see there's so much value out there for him that I feel like I should rank him higher.
That's what people talk about. Is there? Because if there's only one Landry fan in your league, there's not value for him.
I guess that's true.
I wouldn't pay anywhere near this price for what people command for Landry. To me, is insane, and I would never pay it. So I don't know if there is the market out there because there's always that 1 or 2 guys that they love Landry, but unless they trade him back and forth, like, he doesn't get moved a lot. I don't think.
So. And for me, I think he might be just ahead of A-Rob or just behind A-Rob. They're probably, a mismatch or whatever you want to call it at the end of this list for me. We'll put them interchangeable. Hilton and Cooper gets a little tougher for me. Hilton for production now. Cooper for, I still think, a high ceiling because I do like Cooper. I know that he's had a rough year. I think a lot of that was based on Oakland being absolutely dreadful. I liked what I've seen. He's got, I think, 18 targets in the last 2 games in Dallas. They're clearly featuring him. He's caught a touchdown pass. He's got over 100 yards in those 2 games, and he's just new to this offense. So I'm not a huge Dak fan, but I think Dak can be a serviceable quarterback if everything's right and if they can get their offensive line fixed a little bit and they're starting to get Zeke Elliott involved more. One of the things that is the most interesting thing to me about Cooper since he's been in Dallas is that it seems to have opened up Zeke a little bit more. Seems like he's running better. There's more lanes. So they're not focusing on him as much, which is great. I think if they can add a tight end to that offense, and if Noah Brown can become Noah Brown,
hell yeah,
Gallup.
I think obviously I'm leaning more towards Gallup. Had to say Brown for Riley's sake, but yeah, I think Cooper's probably first on this list just based on the age and the upside, and then Hilton is the next guy in line. But if I am a title chaser right now, Hilton's probably the guy I'd go with.
Do you know Noah Brown's played in more games than Dalvin Cook?
All right. We're not getting into Noah Brown. Move on, Riley. What's your list?
My list was easy for me. I'm going Cooper first because he's young. He's an elite route runner. Elite route runners find a way to get it done. He may not be putting up 150-yard games every week, but if I can get 7 catches for 90 yards, I'm all about it. A-Rob is second because I think he's a very underrated route runner, and he's got size. And he's going to be the number 1 there for at least another year and a half or so. So give me A-Rob 2.
Anthony Miller. He'll be the number 1 by next year.
Miller's going to be fine. He's going to be great. They're going to be a very good 1-2 punch. Landry comes in at 3 because I think he's a good football player. Baker's going to get there. He's going to get the ball somehow. But it's better than T.Y. Hilton when he can have a 4-point game or a 30-point game, and he might also miss 5 games next season. Plus, I'm not an age guy, but he's getting up there, and he's been banged up a lot in the last few years. So that's why he comes in last.
So I'm glad we're all in consensus that Cooper is at the top of these lists. That's fantastic because so many people out there hate Amari, but I'm still taking Amari easily at the top of this list. I think I'm going to go Robinson second because of what Riley just said, that age factor of 3 years. That's a big difference. I mean, if they were the same age, it'd be Hilton real easily for me, but I think the 3 years is what the tiebreaker is. Hilton is third for me, and Landry is the easy fourth for me on this list. I will continue to just not like him. So I'm going to ask one more group here, and this we need to talk about. I mean, this will be kind of our strategy point as well. How much does one game matter in Dynasty, folks? So right before
apparently.
a lot. Right before Allen Robinson's game this past weekend, one game, I sent out a poll for Allen Robinson versus Cortland Sutton, Allen Robinson versus DJ Moore, Allen Robinson versus Calvin Ridley. Guess who won every poll? It wasn't Allen Robinson. The rookie won in every single case. Allen Robinson has a good game. I sent out a poll with all 4 of them. Pick which player you want. Allen Robinson dominates the poll. So after one game, all of a sudden, and I assume that people that are voting on our Twitter polls are probably the same sample size. You can't change your value after one game, folks. Like that just can't happen. So I'm really curious how you guys. I don't think people change that value after one game there, Riley. I think Nick Chubb had that value the whole time. I think there was just some people not believing it the whole time and now believe it even less. Nonetheless, it's not a Nick Chubb question. So Allen Robinson, 25 years old, Cortland Sutton, 23, Calvin Ridley, 23, DJ Moore, 21. Are those ages right? Did I write that down wrong? I thought Sutton was a lot younger than Ridley. Sutton the same age? No, I may have written that down wrong. Hold on.
Ridley should be 24.
I might have to redo that. Hold on. I may have messed that up.
I
might have just written in the wrong column.
You know who's only 22?
It says Cortland Sutton, 23.
I'm not even going to say it.
Wait, it says Cortland Sutton set 23, right?
I mean, he stayed all 4 years.
And it says Calvin Ridley, 23. So all that shit about Calvin Ridley, super old. Guess what? He's the same age as Cortland Sutton. All right, sorry, Kevin. Where do you want me to restart at?
Wherever you want. I'll figure it out. If you want to start.
I gave the ages correctly, so I'll just start after that.
All right.
That worked. All right, so Riley, we'll start with you. Where do you put Robinson on this list versus the rookies, Sutton, Ridley, and Moore?
I'm going to go Sutton, A-Rob, Ridley, Moore.
All right, quick and to the point. Kevin, how about you?
I think I answered this question in one of our group chats the same way, so hopefully. But for me, it's Sutton, Ridley, DJ, and then A-Rob.
I think I'm right there with you, Kevin. Can't remember if I flipped DJ Moore or Ridley. To be honest, they're basically the same for me. Like I like both of them equally, so they're not a one-for-one trade that I would make. But Sutton is easily the top of my list on this one, and Robinson is easily the bottom of my list on this one. But overall, the main theme of asking about them is I just don't understand how after one game people can change how can you just change how you value a player so much for something that we are playing a game, Dynasty. We are playing a game to last for more than just one game, more than just this season. I don't see how you can change your value that quickly. Now, I do believe that you can change it too slowly as well, and that's just as dangerous. You can't hold on to everything forever.
Right here.
But really, one game, people. One game. We can't do that. Allen Robinson didn't go from the bottom of the list to the top of the list in one game.
So part of the issue, Bosch, with this is, and Riley, this impacts you and your Nick Chubb discussion as well. I think part of what happens is the insulated value from previous production, right? And it's not one game. It's A-Rob had 2 fantastic seasons as a young player in the Jacksonville Jaguars offense, and everyone expected a lot more out of him before he hurt his knee. Maybe it wasn't more than 2, whatever. Nick Chubb had great college production before he had an injury and then was a second-round draft pick. So the second people see him perform, they expect that they're immediately going to jump back, right? So it's not necessarily the one game, I think. I think it's compounded by the fact that you're really pulling in historical data, but we need to limit ourselves in that regard, right? You can't overvalue that historical production when it's been so long in between that production and what you're seeing now. So I'm with you, Bosch. I think the overreaction is crazy. I think that's part of the reason why is because of that, that past production, but people need to seriously discount that a little bit more than they do.
Well, then why put DJ Moore over A-Rob? Because, we saw A-Rob have 2 great seasons in Jacksonville, tear his ACL, and then come into a new system where he kind of starts off slow. So, it's not as if DJ Moore had 100 receptions every year at Maryland. He is obviously a rookie and he's younger, but
he's a rookie. He's younger. I expect him to continue to produce. I think Devin Funchess will go away eventually because, like you said, he's soft. I think that he will be a focal point of that offense as they continue to evolve. And I think Anthony Miller really will be the guy in Chicago. And I don't know that Mitch Trubisky's ever going to be the guy that can fully support 2 quality starting wide receivers to the point where you're going to have to pay the same price for A-Rob.
Okay. Yeah. The Miller point, I'm with you. I think
you won points on that. Mentioning Anthony Miller is the reason why A-Rob will never reach his ceiling, because Anthony Miller is going to be there at the ceiling saying, "No, you can't get up here to me."
I just think McCaffrey's going to be the number 1 receiver in Carolina. I don't think DJ's going to have the volume to make him, an elite asset. I think he's always going to be a Golden Tate-ish type of asset, which is great.
Golden Tate was phenomenal in Detroit for a number of years. Very solid wide receiver 2 every week in and week out. That's incredible consistency.
Right, but you're not rolling him out as your guy every week. If he's your wide receiver 1, then no. But I think
I'm not rolling Allen Robinson out.
That's my point. Allen Robinson's not that guy anymore either, and I don't think he ever will be.
Though.
I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be.
Okay.
This is why we do this show, so people can get different opinions.
All right, that's it for tonight, and we have to keep moving on. But we want to remind you once more time, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, we are getting T-shirts out there. The design is going to be the Dynasty Wall Street sign on a black T-shirt, super soft, nice and comfortable, $20 a piece. you're gonna get out and reach out to us if you're involved. If you're interested in them, we'll get a tweet out there. We'll show you the design. We'll hit you up. Make sure you message us. Let us know if you're interested. Put in an order. Tell us what size you want, and we'll get things rolling. We got to get some people interested so we can get those into production. So let us know about that. You can hit us up on Twitter at Kevin Cotillo for myself, at John Bosch FF, at DTC_Riley B, and at Dynasty Wall Street ST for Street. We will be back in a couple more weeks to dissect another few players. And until then, we'll see you soon.